Between the tall, gently curving stems and long-lasting, unique flowers, it is no wonder orchids are popular houseplants. However, orchids can be a challenging plant for beginner houseplant parents because they have specific care requirements that are different from other common houseplants. Additionally, orchids are known for their delicate and intricate blooms, which can be intimidating for new plant owners to try and maintain. These specific care requirements may make it difficult for beginners to keep orchids healthy and thriving, which can lead to disappointment and frustration. But with our tips, tricks, and a little bit of gardening know-how, we can ensure that your new orchid will flourish in your home for years to come. There are more than 20,000 types of orchids in the world, but the most common types to use as houseplants are moth orchids. Moth orchids bloom once or twice a year, and each flower can last as long as 3 months with the proper care. These are usually the types found at your local grocery store, garden center, and other specialty retailers. Most often they are available in white, but varying shades of pink, purple, and peach can also be found. We must first select a pot that will allow them to grow to their fullest potential. When you purchase an orchid, they are usually sold in a clear plastic pot with several drainage holes. They may or may not be placed inside another decorative container. The not so attractive clear plastic pot does have some benefits, including ample drainage and the ability to easily inspect the roots for pest, disease, or overcrowding. Plus, you can easily switch decorative containers to correspond to different room decor or seasons. Special pots are often marketed for orchids, but any pot with good drainage can house an orchid plant. Most orchids do, however, prefer squat pots to allow their roots to spread out, not down. When growing any type of orchid, light is the key to maintaining healthy plants. In general, orchids prefer bright, filtered light and should be protected from direct sunlight, which can cause leaf burn. Orchids should be placed in the home with available light sources in mind. This includes the proximity to windows, especially those east or south facing. If the sunlight is especially intense, you may need to hang a sheer curtain to scatter some of the light. If a windowsill is your only option, moth orchids are especially tolerant of different light conditions from bright to medium. However, if the orchid is not receiving enough light, they may not bloom as often or at all. Orchids should be watered about once per week, but the frequency can vary depending on the humidity and temperature of your home. Be sure to not overwater your orchid, as this can lead to root rot. Basically, orchids like their growing medium to dry out between waterings. When watering your orchid, it's best to use room temperature water at the base of the plant, not on the leaves. Allow the orchid to drain properly and don't let the plant sit in water. If your plant lives in a clear plastic pot within a decorative pot, it is a good idea to remove it during watering to allow for proper drainage. Also, be sure to water your orchids in the morning so that the moisture has time to evaporate. While they don't do well sitting in water, orchids do like humidity. You can create a humid environment by filling a tray with a layer of gravel and adding just enough water that the gravel isn't quite submerged. Place your orchid's pot atop this tray. The evaporating water from the gravel tray will surround your plant in moisture. This is especially important when growing your orchids on a windowsill. Orchids prefer temperatures between 60 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Avoid placing them in drafty areas or near air conditioning vents. They also prefer warmer temperatures during the day and cooler temperatures at night. During the growing season, orchids should be fertilized with a water-soluble fertilizer with high levels of nitrogen. Any fertilizer specific to orchids would be ideal. Fertilize the plants once monthly. For best results, though, dilute the fertilizer by half. In the winter, when the plant is dormant, fertilize less often at a higher dilution rate. It is also a good idea to flush the plant with clean water once in a while to get rid of any fertilizer residue not used by the plant. When it comes to blooming, orchids can be a bit tricky, but with proper care, they will typically bloom once or twice per year, and each bloom cycle can last for several weeks to several months. Once the blooms have wilted, it's important to remove them promptly to encourage new blooms. Now, once the final flower has faded, you can cut the main stem back to just a couple of inches from the soil with a clean, sharp knife or scissors. This not only improves the appearance of the plant, but prevents it from wasting energy, keeping a non-producing stem alive. Repotting your orchid is only necessary every 2 to 3 years or when it outgrows its current container. When repotting, make sure to use a well-draining potting mix, specially formulated for orchids, and then choose a new container that is only 1 to 2 inches larger than the one before. For more know-how on repotting orchids, click or tap the link in the description of this video. Even if we follow guidelines to a T, sometimes the leaves may turn yellow or even brown. Leaves that are beginning to yellow are usually caused by a lack of proper watering. It is important to find a balance between slightly moist yet not waterlogged. Leaves that turn brown may be caused by too much direct sunlight or low humidity. Be sure to keep your orchid in a well-lit spot but not in direct sunlight, and provide humidity around your plant when necessary. Growing orchids can be a fun and rewarding hobby for beginners. Once you know the basics, your orchid will thrive and bring beauty to your home for many years to come. And who knows, you may soon have a beautiful collection of orchids to admire of your very own. For more information on houseplant care, please check out our complete guide to houseplants using the link below. And be sure to subscribe to our channel for more gardening know-how. Well, thanks for watching and happy gardening!